Well, you know, I think God and Moses both just have enormous respect for each other.
White Gladiator had that same right spirit.
Look, the judges are gone. Even the Egyptian judges are impressed.
Until recently, you claimed that the Earth revolved around the sun.
Welcome to History Bites. I'm Rick Green. One of the most famous moments in the history of the Old West has to be Custer's last stand. It's quite a story. General Custer and his cavalrymen, surrounded by Indians on every side, outnumbered, the well-trained soldiers valiantly fight to the last bullet against the swirling hordes of savages. Yeah, it's quite a story, made for some exciting movies, but it's a little one-sided. In fact, the Battle of Little Bighorn may be the only time when history was written by the losers. Native Americans may have had a deep and spiritual culture, but they were lousy at PR. For most Americans, the Indian side of the story remained a mystery. Too bad television wasn't around in 1876, because there's nothing TV characters do better than solve a good mystery.
No, stay back! Stay back, you strange, otherworldly creature! I'm a soldier in the United States Cavalry. I come in war! You got me? This ain't right! This ain't the way it's supposed to be! What is this, anyway?
Mulder, I got your telegram. It sounded urgent. You didn't say stop after every sentence.
Look at this.
Looks like a bear tooth.
Right. They found it in the soil samples in an area called the Black Hills, Dakota Territory.
So?
So it has a hole in it, Scully. How would a bear tooth get a hole in it?
You probably ate too much honey. Mulder, I can't believe you made me rush here just to look at a tooth.
Scully, you can't close your eyes to the facts. This was part of a necklace.
A necklace made by aliens, these Indians?
Why not? Beings from another land, culture totally unlike our own, inscrutable entities from outer west who travel at the speed of horse, and vanish as mysteriously as they came. Scully, this tooth is clear evidence of Indian activity. The Black Hills area needs to be investigated.
Well, I hate to break it to you, Mulder, but the Black Hills are already being investigated.
What?
General Custer's and his 7th Cavalry have already gone in there.
The Army? They're not trained investigators.
Well, I'm sure if there's something to find, they'll find it. Mulder.
What is it?
It's a dispatch from near the Little Bighorn River. General Custer and 210 men under his direct command been found.
What's been found?
They've been found. Dead.
Hey, America! Remember the 1850s and 60s when America was at war with the natives? Well, the 50s and 60s are back, so get up and start sweating to the oldies!
Now, you feel guilty about the displacement of the Indians.
Oh, those poor Indians who used to live on our land. I just don't feel like I deserve my wonderful home if it's at their expense.
Okay, now, Melissa, the problem isn't the Indians, is it?
It isn't?
Well, now, how can it be? See, the Indians aren't even there anymore, are they? Huh? They've all been moved to reservations or killed by the Army. They're out of the picture. They're gone. Melissa, I want you to look right at me and think to yourself, I am an American. I deserve whatever land God gives to me. It's not just manifest destiny. It's my destiny.
You're absolutely right, Dr.
Remember, indigenous races can't make you feel guilty unless you let them.
When the news got out that Custer and his men had been killed, America was devastated. How could this happen to decent, God-fearing, gun-carrying white folks? To make matters worse, the Indians had mutilated many of the bodies and in some cases cut off their scalps. Now actually, this was standard practice for Sitting Bull's braves. They did the same thing to other Indians after a victory. But somehow a little off the top was just one of those cultural quirks that didn't quite translate.
So who's Mr. Conversation over there?
Just one of Custer's soldiers. Subject is male Caucasian. I'm about to make the first incision.
Looks like somebody beat you to it.
His whole body's been sliced to pieces. Who would mutilate a body like this?
Don't you see, Scully? It all adds up.
Don't even say it. You're not going to convince me that this man and all the others in the 7th Cavalry were killed by these extraterritorial beings, these Indians.
How else do you explain it then?
You know what it's like in the Army. The deaths were probably the result of some argument between the soldiers. Big argument. Wait, there's something lodged in here.
The truth is out west, Scully. I'm booking a ticket on the next stagecoach headed for the Western Plains.
Better book me a plane's ticket too.
You know Kate Longbow, that cute little Indian woman from the Lakota tribe I've been seeing? Well, I don't think it's going to last much longer, Jerry.
All right, get to the point already.
These Indian women, they're not like us. Her brother told me after their braves win a battle, the women run onto the battlefield and mutilate the bodies. They mutilate them, Jerry. I don't even rip the tags off my pillows. But these Indian mamas, they strip the corpses naked and crush their skulls with rocks. They slash them up with knives. I don't want to ruin your appetite for life, Jerry, but the Army's not the only one with a collection of privates.
What? Why did our government send General George Custer to push the Indians off their land?
Paul, the Indians had thousands of years to develop this land and didn't. Now it's our turn.
Well, I agree. I'm just asking, why send General Custer?
Well, who would you send? Calamity Jane? We have to send in heavily armed troops.
I agree. I'm not arguing that. But why Custer? Look, the man graduated from West Point at the bottom of his class.
Custer was a Civil War hero. Do you know how many cavalry charges he led?
18.
No fear. Okay, no fear was his motto.
Oh, no fear. No fear. That's a great motto. How about no brains, Anne? There's a great motto.
No brains, you mean.
His reckless attacks cost his division more casualties than any other force in the Union.
Reckless? Custer showed leadership, and his troops followed him.
To their doom, he showboated. Fancy uniforms. He dressed like a cross between Yosemite Sam and a hotel doorman.
Soldiers followed him because of his luck. Haven't you ever heard of the famous Custer luck? It wasn't because he had a fancy outfit on.
Luck.
No soldier in his right mind would follow someone with...
You talk about Custer luck.
Yeah.
How about the famous Custer the sitting duck? Huh?
Scully, look, this grass, it's been trampled into crop circles. Now, could that have been horses running around and around? No, wait, horses don't run in circles. Unless they had riders, or the horses were drunk, or it could have been a very small tornado.
Mulder, over here. This is it.
This is where it happened. The Battle of Little Bighorn.
Custer's last defense.
Or Custer's final stand.
Custer's last final defensive stand.
Something like that.
The Battle of Little Bighorn was a temporary victory for the tribes who fought under Sitting Bull, but it was a permanent defeat for General Custer. He led his men to Little Bighorn with the express purpose of attacking Sitting Bull's camp of many tribes. But Custer didn't scout out the opposition, and despite the fact that his own Indian scouts warned him that he was outnumbered 4-1, he split his cavalry forces into 3 groups. I guess George never really got the hang of that old strategy, divide and conquer.
Major Remo, you saw the battle?
This is crazy. Custer's army was wiped out.
No. No, Colonel Custer was the first group. They all died. There were 2 other groups. I led one of them. We had survivors.
Who attacked you?
They were like men. But they have feathers here and around their neck. There were teeth, hundreds of animal teeth.
Come along, Mark.
Wait, I want to hear what he has to say.
You can't make a treaty with them. They're your legs, Agent Scully.
Now you admit we're dealing with Indians?
I'll admit it's something that can't be easily explained.
At least that's a start.
That doesn't mean it can't be explained. Eyewitness or not, Major Reno was clearly deranged. Why is it that whenever someone dies mysteriously, you always blame the Indians?
Not always. When they die in California, I blame the Mexicans.
These Indians believe in slicing off the hair of their enemy. It's a warning to other tribes, and it'll help boost the morale of your own tribe. Well, I like a good souvenir as much as the next bloke. Remember, look for a full head of hair, not a middle-aged comb-over.
I don't get it. Dead traders, dead Indians, and dead buffalo. Weird. Jinkies! These fur traders and Indians were trampled, and these buffalo were shot.
And thanks to this campfire, cooked too. Huh, Scoot?
Shroody Doo.
You said it, Scoot.
But the traders' guns weren't fired, and the Indians were unarmed. The buffalo trampled the people, but who shot the buffalo?
And why is the grass burned? Maybe some kind of monster scared the buffalo. Signs!
Mulder, the Little Bighorn River is miles away. Why are we searching in the Black Hills? There's nothing here.
What about those train tracks going down through our planet's crust?
Mulder, it's a mine. They always have tracks. We're wasting our time wandering. Mulder, look. Same wooden sticks we found in the bodies of the dead men.
Other artifacts, too. Laid out carefully. Scully, I think these Black Hills are somehow special to the Indians.
You're exactly right, Agent Mulder.
Are you one of them?
No, I'm just a settler. But I've spoken to them. I know their ways. They are angry, Agent Mulder. The miners came here to dig for gold, but this area, these hills, is sacred. It contains a concentration of spiritual energy, like a church.
A church without a roof or walls? It's impossible.
With our technology, perhaps, but who knows what they could do. That's exactly what I've been looking for my whole life. Finally, somebody who can answer all my questions.
Yes. You see, there's a conspiracy. Secret government warehouse 114 Roseway Avenue.
She's dead.
As dead as vaudeville is, or will be, someday. Hopefully.
Of course.
What? So you're responsible for this?
What'd I do?
Like it's Mr. Jones, the train engineer.
Huh? What'd I do?
The sparks from his locomotive started the grass fire. People love shooting buffalo from moving trains. That's why these buffalo stampeded. The Indians and traders just happened to be in the way.
Well, looks like we've gone from being detectives to fur traders.
What made Custer's defeat at Little Bighorn especially shocking was that previous massacres of Indians had gone so easily. For example, in 1870, the cavalry went looking for a hostile band of Indians led by Mountain Chief. They couldn't find them, so instead, the cavalry massacred 173 Indians led by Chief Heavy Runner. It wasn't the most glorious victory in the cavalry's history. For one thing, all the Indians had been women and children. For another, the band they destroyed were considered friendly. I'm guessing that changed. But the point was to kill some Indians. Who cares if they're the right ones?
You think you can hack into these government files?
Oh, we can hack into them all right. You can't watch.
There are professional secrets involved. Tricks of the trade.
Mulder, over here. Look at this. Treaties, maps of Indian land. This whole section is filled with blankets. They have names and dates on. June 18th, 1849. Samantha Mulder.
Scully, stop touching those blankets. This was my sister's blanket. June 18th, 1849 was the day she died of smallpox.
What's it doing here?
My guess is somebody's planning on giving these disease-infected blankets to the Indians. It's an old trick.
Biological warfare.
We're in.
Well?
And we hit pay dirt. A complete record of all the Indian massacres.
You mean they've killed again? Custer's battalion wasn't the only one? There are other victims?
I don't think he understands.
We're talking about massacres of the Indians by our army.
Totally government-sponsored terrorism, man.
But don't white people have to die for it to be a massacre?
Otherwise, it's just an unfortunate incident.
Or a glorious victory.
Hey, Al, you hear about this Custer guy? He and his men were all killed by Indians out west at the Little Bighorn River.
Uh-huh.
You should go out there, Al. You should help them open up the west.
Peg, I don't know the first thing about killing Indians.
Well, Al, all you have to do is take off your shoes. One whiff of your feet would be worse for them than the smallpox.
In 1870, 173 Indians killed. In 1871, 75 Indians killed. In 1872...
So what are you saying? They attacked Custer for revenge?
No way. Custer attacked them.
Your government dollars at work.
On December 3rd, 1875, 6 months before the Battle of Little Bighorn, the U.S. Secretary of the Interior met with President Ulysses S. Grant and sent a communique to the Commissioner of Indian Affairs. It ordered him to send all hostile Indians to the nearest reservation. How do you define hostile Indians? Well, any ones who haven't checked into the nearest reservation. When the government calls you hostile, you know you've either done something wrong or you have something they want. Like your land and everything on the land and everything above the land and everything under the land. Talk about a hostile takeover.
Come on, Scully, pick up. Pick up, Scully.
Agent Mulder.
Who are you?
You can call me the cigar-smoking man. What you should be more interested in is what I have to tell you.
What's that?
The truth. But beware, Agent Mulder, the truth can be a double-edged broken treaty wrapped in a false agreement.
Are you with the government?
Yes.
In this bag, there's a government memo that shows why Custer really went west. It's a land called the Black Hills, part of Indians' territory.
American territory.
I'm guessing you tried to buy it from the Indians, but they wouldn't sell because it was sacred land.
Really, Agent Mulder?
So then you tried to take it by force, a program of extermination against the Indians using any means necessary. Bullets, money, even biological warfare.
Very astute. Now, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to hand over that memo.
But why? Why the Black Hills?
Because there's gold in them thar hills. Always wanted to say that.
Gold?
Yes, discovered 2 years ago in an expedition led by Custer himself. Ironic that that gold led to his own demise.
So all this fighting, all this death, it was just about the money.
Always about money, Agent Mulder. Custer's slaughter was more than we could have hoped for. With the public outcry against the Indians, no one will blink an eye when we take the Black Hills, even if it breaks every treaty in the book. Then there'll be gold in them, our hills. Doesn't have the same ring to it.
The public's gonna think differently when they hear the truth.
No, please, you're talking about a country that finds the Italians too swarthy. People need a villain. We've given them one.
The Indians should be grateful, Agent Mulder. The villain's the juiciest roll.
I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 2 shots or only 1? But to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I've kind of lost track myself. But being as this is a .22 Derringer, the least powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your toe clean off, you've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do ya, punk?
More than just a source of buffalo meat. My Indian friends showed me buffalo can be useful to make useful household objects. It's the gift that keeps on giving. We'll show you how to use the hide, hair, hooves, and more. The tail makes an excellent fly swatter. A hollowed out buffalo horn makes a superb mug. Buffalo dung can be burned as fuel. That's high octane. Mulder, I got your message. You telegraphed you have a memo.
It's gone. We have no proof. History will paint Custer as a noble hero who died tragically.
Until the truth comes out.
That'll only happen when the American people are prepared to believe that their own government can be a corrupt, money-driven agency with no respect for honor or indigenous races.
You'll be laughed out of the country with a story like that.
Let them call me paranoid, Scully. We know the truth. So from now on, whenever we see an unexplained death or a mysterious massacre or bizarre weather formation, we'll know. The government's behind it.
Even in California?
No. In California, it's still the Mexicans.
3 months after the Battle of Little Bighorn, the government made a proposition to the Indians. Give us the Black Hills or we'll cut off your food supplies. It was an offer the Indians couldn't refuse. The massive Indian tribe that defeated Custer split up. Some moved to reservations, some were killed by the army, and Chief Sitting Bull eventually joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. There's no business like show business. Little Bighorn wasn't just Custer's last stand, it was a last stand for the Plains Indians. In the end, history took everything away from the Indians and gave Custer all the glory. Just one more reason why history bites.
You can also make tasty sausages with buffalo intestines. Just make sure to clean out the fuel first. Later, we'll make pins and buttons from bones. And for the little ones, you can make a delightful rattle by placing a hand